Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were they were bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact and I can find
Yes, sir. Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to today's episode of the X-RAD Show, the talk show that really gets you talking on the Xander Network, live from New York City and London. I'm Xander Gibb.
And calling in from London, I'm Tyhe Egar.
Oh, yes, sir. On today's show, the very hottest of topics, and in part two, Thomas S. Schmitz joins us to break down this week's occurrences in the United States and across the world. More to come in a mere moment. So you can tweet us. The tweet details are on the Xrad Facebook page for today. You can join in the conversation around the live feed, and we will endeavor to involve you in the conversation. You can call us. We'll have a little bit of a phone-in time later. You can do that via Facebook Live. We'll let you know at what point that is possible. Just don't go calling outside of when the show is on, because you never know who will pick up. Welcome back to the show, Tyhe. How is the world with you, sir?
It's good. It's good. Yeah, things are happening. It's good. Things are moving. I've just been asked by my designer today though to write about myself, and that's never a good thing. I can write about other people without hesitation or thinking about it, but I can't write about myself. But other than that, it's great, and the weather here is fantastic. So, yeah, it's good. You know, you have that always right with the world feeling when the weather is good, don't you?
Yeah.
The sun is shining and people are smiling. And,
what some asshole come spoil it. Well, we've had rain here all day on the East Coast, like from last night. But not just like, a little drip, drip, drip. It's been like a constant freaking downpour. I know it's going to happen for the plants and the crops and all of that, but oh my god, I hate it when it rains because they have very kinky hair, and I don't mean kinky and like, the sexual kinky. My hair just like really kinks and goes like really afro when it rains.
You have a kink in your hair.
I do.
Rather than kinky hair.
Well, I think.
Although I don't know, I've known you for a long time. I go either way, but anyway.
Well, we've heard about that. We really have. So it's been kind of like an interesting week this week. Like internationally,
yeah.
Donald Trump is on his travels around the world, and it's been interesting to see how the world's media views it, and dependent on their leaning, it's either very positive or they're totally negative. And, I know a lot of people have got issues with Donald Trump, but when I saw him stand up with NATO the other day and tell people to pay their way, I was kind of, I was kind of really proud of that. Did you see that?
I only saw a real brief snippet of it, and which is shocking, really, but I've been so busy this week. The news it's been like my life flashing before my eyes.
Right.
So I only saw the headline of that. So I'm going to actually say, right, talk me through it, because I know that headlines lie, and that's why they're headlines. They're there to just suck you in and, fool you.
Absolutely. Well, essentially, in a nutshell, there was a meeting of NATO, and there was a meeting with the countries that are involved in NATO. And I want to say that there were like, 24... I think there are 24 or 26 countries that are involved in NATO.
26, I think.
26, but America pays more money than any of them, and some of them haven't even paid for years, but they still want to experience the protections that come from being, part of NATO.
Okay.
And that's a concern. Just from the perspective of American taxpayers, why should they be paying for the protections of other countries? And he's been called everything from a pig to a dog this week, saying that America should foot the bill and they should pay for it, and all of these things. But that's a huge concern to me, because why should America pay for the defenses of other countries?
Okay, so then here's my take on it, and this is not just about America; it's about the UK as well, etc., etc. Is cool. So America and the UK. But are responsible for most of the war on the planet, I think, really. Because we're going to talk in a while about some real tragedy that's happened this week. And so the countries that aren't paying, you've got to ask, why aren't they paying? And how big are they? And who are they? And why aren't they paying? Because this is what's caused all the problems with Brexit in Europe. We pay so much money into Europe, it's obscene. And what are we getting back? And that's what caused a lot of the problems. And
exactly.
Blah, blah. So anyway, I don't want to distract. So what is the real issue with NATO? Because a lot of countries might think that, well, America should protect us because they started it. And that would be true in a lot of ways.
So cite an example, because, sorry to interrupt you, but cite an example.
Go.
No, I was just going to say, cite an example, because, you said that, America and the UK are responsible for most of these wars, but I'm not, maybe 20 years ago, but not
No, but that's what I'm asking. I'm not saying, I'm just playing devil's advocate, and I'm not saying, I'm not actually, I am saying they are responsible for some. Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, the UK and America caused these wars, and it was nothing to do with religion or anything else. It was to do with oil. It was to do with the petrodollar.
Right.
But, that's what I'm asking. I'm saying, who are these countries who aren't paying? And if they aren't paying, why aren't they paying? And quite rightly, then let's find out why and say, so we should be pointing and say, excuse me, why aren't you paying?
Right. Well, I would agree with you about Afghanistan and stuff. That was obviously about oil, and they were all wars that we should have been involved with. But NATO is actually nothing to do with those. NATO is actually to do with going in and defending countries when they're attacked.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is then Syria, etc., isn't it? It's the same, which is the same argument, by the way. It was a deliberate, because guess who's drilling for oil now in Syria? But
who?
Other countries, but it's not Syria. So that's what I'm asking, is NATO, because I don't trust NATO at all. So this is what I'm saying. I'm not just picking on America. But America, because don't forget as well, America also stands itself up as the most powerful country in the world, and the world leader. So does the UK, by the way. Please remember, I started this sentence by saying the UK and America, because I put just as much responsibility on the shoulders of the UK for a lot of these acts as well.
Right.
So please don't think I'm anti-American any more than I'm anti-UK.
Right.
And also, these countries are also responsible for protecting us from maniacs out there as well. I'm perfectly aware of that. So that's my interest, is to say, right, okay, who? And I'm not saying he's wrong, by the way. Actually, he's right. Yeah, right. Why aren't you paying? That's what I mean by pointing the finger. Excuse me. What's your excuse for not paying? But also, what is your reason for not paying? So, do you know what I mean? I'm interested to see, because I want to see all this come crashing down, by the way.
Right.
It's time for a revolution. It's absolutely time for a revolution. There are more of us than there are then, and there is no reason that we should all be starving to death while they're living in gold houses, do you know what I mean? In gold palaces. So I want to know, I want these questions answered. And as we were saying with Thomas last week, I think Thomas thought I was having a go, and I wasn't at all. I was saying, actually, it's a good thing that he isn't from a house of politicians. He's actually a businessman that's come into politics,
right? Because
he does speak a different language. He's more likely to speak our language, the language of you and I,
right?
Of you and me, I should say, than he is the language of the other politicians, because he hasn't been doctored by them. So I like that about him. I do also think he's as mad as a box of frogs, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Considering what's happening in the world, but again, I want these questions answered. It's not good enough just from my head that he's challenging. I want to know who he's challenging and why they aren't doing what they're doing.
Right.
So it's fantastic that he's challenging and he's making he's highlighting these things. I'm all power to him. But then I want the follow-on. I want somebody behind him making sure that that's followed on. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just lost. It's not just yesterday's headline lost.
Well,
somewhere.
I think NATO is a little bit like the UN. You know, they get all this money for doing bugger all because it's like, what do they actually do? And the concern for me is, you know, American taxpayers are footing more of the bill than other countries that are actually getting benefit from NATO. I mean, I think, you know, if you're a country and you're not big enough and ugly enough to stick up for yourself and you can't use your resources well enough to protect yourself, then don't get yourself into these conflicts. Now, it's kind of different when you're attacked because, you know, like the UK and America have supported each other every time there's been a war, you know. But, you know, there are charges attached to that. You know, like America pays Britain for that and vice versa. And so, you know, the only people that benefit from war are those that you know, those that are making the bombs and those that are kind of getting the money that are paid for it.
And you're right. You know, if you only have a size 5 boot, don't try and kick somebody with a size 10 ass. But I agree. But you're right as well. NATO and UN. I mean, there are terrible horror stories about the UN, as we know as well. I mean, they're not fit for purpose. None of them are fit for purpose. But you do absolutely have a point. Just because you're a bigger country doesn't mean you should necessarily pay more.
Absolutely.
They're not none of them are fit for purpose. But you do absolutely have a point. Just because you're a bigger country doesn't mean you should necessarily pay more.
Absolutely.
They're not none of them are fit for purpose. But you do absolutely have a point. Just because you're a bigger country doesn't mean you should necessarily pay more. Absolutely. They're not none of them are fit for purpose. But you do absolutely have a point. Just because you're a bigger country doesn't mean you should necessarily pay more.
Tyhe? I'm going to have to close this and call you back because there's a... Tyhe? I'm going to have to close this and call you back because there's... Sorry guys, it's like being trapped in a time warp. I don't know what happened there. We're going to try to get Tyhe back and hopefully get rid of all this... this horrible time warp. I don't know what happened there. We're going to try to get Tyhe back. All right, I think I know what it is. Here's the problem. Sometimes Facebook switches back on your live feed. It was like being in a what's it movie there, like a sci-fi movie. Let me get Tyhe back and bring him back on. Whoops. We will get there. All these technical problems, but we will get there, I assure you. So just while we've got the opportunity, hi to everybody in the chat room. I'm going to say hi to you individually.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry about that. What happened was it was like a sci-fi movie. I was hearing everything twice, and it was either an acid flashback or what actually did happen was the volume turned on the video on the computer, so I was hearing everything 5 times. And because of the delay, as Mark just correctly said in the chat, it was like a time warp in the TARDIS. So I just want to say a quick hello to everybody in the live feed. Hi to Gina. Hi to Mark. Hey to Zal, hey to Nick, welcome. Nick says he's driving, so won't be talking much tonight. That's absolutely cool. And hi to all of you. Yeah, exactly. You've got to use your hands for other things. Hi to all of you that are actually in the live feed, but not participating in the conversation. We just had a huge problem because Facebook, what they do is they limit people's access to the show while it's actually going on and say, oh, the video doesn't work. So let's jump right into something and see where we go from there. So Hillary Clinton today assailed the man who beat her to the White House, slamming as unimaginable cruelty the president's proposal to cut $3.6 trillion in government spending over the next decade in a speech today. So the defeated Democratic candidate and career criminal did not name the Republican president in her remarks to the graduating class on her alma mater in Wellesley College, but she took several veiled swipes at the businessman turned politician whose budget proposal earlier this week proposed sharp cuts in programs for healthcare and food assistance. A look at the budget that was just proposed in Washington. It is an attack of unimaginable cruelty on the most vulnerable among us, she said to a crowd of all women at the college located in Boston suburbs. It grossly underfunds public education, mental health, and even efforts to combat the opioid epidemic. Clinton, a former Secretary of State, warned against an erosion of accepted standards of truth in U.S. Public discourse, and also appeared to be attacking Trump on this issue. You are graduating at a time where there is a fully fledged assault on truth and reason. Yes, there is, Hillary, by the Democrats. Just log on to social media for 10 seconds. It will hit you right in the face, she said, citing hoax online reports that her campaign was tied to a Washington pizzeria that operated a child sex ring. Now, when people in power invent their own facts and attack those who question them, it can be a mark of the beginning of the end of a free society, Clinton said. This is not hyperbole. Oh no, of course, Hillary, it wouldn't be hyperbole with you. It is an authoritarian regime. Authoritarian regimes throughout history have done. She also urged undergraduates of the liberal-leaning school, which is located in one of the most democratic states in the country, not to retreat into their partisan echo chambers, saying, your learning and listening, serving should include people who don't agree with you politically. Interesting case of do as I say, not as I do there, Hillary. Now, the first thing I want to kind of mention is that, now, isn't it dangerous, Tyhe, to be attacking someone who has the goods on you and can put you in jail, just first of all?
It is. It's quite fun, isn't it, really, to start, people in glass houses. She seems to be, to me, when you're reading that out, even, I have this image of a desperate woman flailing her handbag in the air.
Yeah.
Which, it should make me laugh, but considering the woman who's flailing the handbag, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And to start screaming about, and also as well, for somebody who was involved with the way she was in Iraq and Iran, talking about opioids and Afghanistan, talking about opioids, it's quite sickening, to be honest. And for anybody listening, I mean, no offense to opioids, we're talking about heroin, etc., or opioid-based drugs. And if anybody's confused about where poppies are grown, Google it, it won't take long. But has she lost the plot? Has anybody found her dribbling at the side of the road yet?
Only at the 9/11 memorial event, where they found her kind of like, she was trembling, and the day they used the body double with her. But I think she lost it a long time ago. But here's the thing for me. It would be kind of like, you've known me for 25 years, and, you know quite a lot about me, but there's nothing criminal. But however, if you knew where the bodies were buried, let's face it, with Hillary Clinton, that's not just a phrase. She does know where the bodies are buried, Seth Rich.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be attacking you because I would be worried that you would attack back. Because the thing is that ultimately what she has to remember is that she's not out of the woods yet with regards to her email scandal.
Well, do you know what, apart from that, it's funny you should mention that. And this is not set up, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. I was thinking about that this week. I was like, how has she got away with all this?
Yeah.
Because leading up to the elections, the New York police, the FBI, there were people screaming all over America saying, if she gets in, we're going to impeach her, we're going to arrest her, she's going down forever, they were going nuts. And suddenly she's wandering around at tea parties screaming about drugs and the death of America under Trump's rule. What happened? Suddenly she didn't break the law? Suddenly she isn't responsible for the deaths of thousands of people? She isn't a traitor? She is, what is she, like Hillary Kenobi? What the hell happened?
Yeah, it's kind of, the thing is that I think she's gotten away with so much she actually feels like she's untouchable, but I think she really thought she was in the crapper over the email stuff, but then she destroyed all the evidence. Because the thing is that, we've talked about this already, if you kind of feel if someone feels you've done something wrong, and your devices can prove that you didn't, why wouldn't you just keep those devices and say, there you go, look, I didn't do anything wrong? But she destroyed all the evidence, and then basically said, you know, kind of catch me if you can, kind of thing.
But when did it become okay for a politician? Well, I mean, for you and I, or anybody listening, or ignorance is no excuse. It actually is stated in the law. Ignorance is no excuse. That's written in the law of any country, as far as I'm aware, or any civilized country. Ignorance is no excuse. I cannot stand in front of a judge and say, I'm sorry, Your Honour, I didn't know. If I'm part of an illegal act and I'm responsible for my actions within a legal business or institution, I cannot stand and say, as a manager, I'm sorry, I didn't know, or an acting participant.
Right. Yeah.
Because ignorance is no excuse.
Exactly.
So how the hell can she get away with it? How?
I'll tell you how.
What planet?
Because it's unfortunate.
Well, planet Earth, obviously.
It's unfortunate that it happens in the UK as well. That what we have in America,
of course it does. Yeah.
We have a two-tier justice system, and so if you're a celebrity or if you're a politician, you know, if you're Fred Blogs and you do something wrong, and if you're Bill Blogs, big celebrity, and you do the same thing, Fred Blogs is going to jail, but the big celebrity is not going to jail at all. And the thing is that ultimately, you know, we've been supporting a case for nearly a year on this show. My friend's husband is in jail for taking 6 selfies on a camera that were never disseminated. He lost a year of his life from the fact that they kept him under house arrest. You know, the guy's got PTSD. This is a Navy vet that served our country, and his name is Christian Saucier. You probably know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Talked about this on the show quite a lot. So he was charged with 6 counts of mishandling classified information. But Hillary Clinton had 33,000 counts, and this guy rots in jail while this bitch walks around America, runs for president. Then last week they freed that. I don't want to be disrespectful to trans people, but this person, this Bradley Manning, or whatever she's calling herself this week, got freed from jail. Basically because, you know, she said she was trans, so she'd suffered enough. So it's absolutely disgusting that you know, if you're in this two-tier society, the problem is that some people get prosecuted for stuff and others don't. And it's a concern. Actually, his wife just came into the chat room. Hi, Sadie. Hope you're feeling better, and I hope Cass is feeling better. And she quite rightly just said veterans before trannies, and I think that's absolutely true. You know, this person will get their gender reassignment paid for. They'll get health benefits when this person should be in jail forever. Well,
can I just say, by the way, hi. I can't see the chat room, so I don't know who's in or out. So I'm just saying hello to everybody.
Right.
Can I just? I know you're saying veterans before trannies. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying veterans should be given absolute respect anywhere, simply because they are veterans. Right. They have my absolute undying respect and always will. My father, I've said this before on the show, my father was a Marine in the Second World War. I understand anyway. But I mean, transgender people should not be taken as second-class citizens because this one particular person is being. I just want to make that clear for people out there who are listening, and I know you're not saying that.
No,
it's
definitely
just
not.
Your comment, that line was the way it came out was just, you know.
Veterans before this tranny.
But veterans, of course, veterans should be treated with 100% respect and should be at the top of anybody's list anyway. And if they're not, check yourself, people.
Yes, absolutely.
And we should be taking that a bit. I didn't realise he was still in prison either.
Absolutely, he is. And we actually got an update to this week. I hope you, and I'm sure Sadie won't mind me sharing, but what we actually found out this week was because it's very difficult to know how different departments run within the United States government. But we found out today that with regards to a presidential pardon, Tyhe, that basically the buck stops with the president. It's at the president's bequest that a pardon occurs. So I'm behind President Trump 200%, but I do have to say that I am really PISS that the president got so much mileage out of Christian Saucier on the campaign trail and after being in the White House and have still not signed that pardon, because that's all he has to do. He has to sign the pardon. So I'm not being disrespectful to the president. I still have his back. But sign the damn pardon, Donald! It's time! Because,
So he actually campaigned with Christian's name?
Yes, he did. On the campaign trail, talked about Christian, said it was terrible. Christian's mother had been on the TV and had seen it and said, oh, it was absolutely terrible that this young man is put through this. And absolutely nothing has happened.
And nobody's picked up on it?
No.
Right, well, we have to do something about that. That's just really annoyed me.
Well, we've been trying to. A couple of weeks ago, we did a whole day of campaigning. We did the PKS Day, Pardon Chris Saucier Day, and do you know the side effect of this? Here's the thing. Once again, I'm sorry for talking about you while you're in the room, Sadie, but basically, Sadie, when Chris went into jail, Chris lost all of his benefits. That means that, there was no medical benefits, no money coming in. So this woman is basically surviving with a child and is getting no support whatsoever. The local authority where she lives has basically said the only way they will help her is if she divorces her husband. Why should she have to divorce her husband if she supports him in order to get financial benefits? That's
disgraceful.
And so she's surviving, on the charity of others, they're probably gonna lose their house, and the concern for me is that once again I'm gonna come back to this, and I have to keep saying it because there are some stupid people in America. This is not about being anti-Donald Trump. This is actually about being pro-truth and pro what is right, and pro. I'm pro-Christian Saucier. The president used this on the campaign trail, so he should now free this guy, because to leave him in jail when he got the mileage from it is disgusting.
So, can you send me all the details?
I'm going to put the link to the website right now.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
And I also want to say, right now, if you would like to help with this, if you would like to support Sadie, there are links on the website where you can make a donation. There are two separate things. I'm just opening so I can share the links. There's the You Caring, which is probably the best one. And even if you can only give a couple of dollars, that's great. But I'm just disgusted that in America today, people can be treated this way. People can lose their homes. People can be so, far down financially. And I'm disgusted by it.
Theresa May said this week that she's talking about getting rid of free school meals for children because food banks are so successful now. That's where we are.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's where we are. That's where the world is now.
That's absolutely disgusting.
So, Sadie, you have, my heart, my thoughts, my prayers are with you.
Absolutely, Sadie.
I'm taking this up with you now as well, and your husband has my absolute admiration and respect for who he is and what he's done for your country and for the world. Not just your country, it's the world. This is what people forget as well. They put this out there. Oh, he's a US vet. No, he isn't. He's a world vet. These men and women are fighting for. It's not just your country. It's for us. It's for me.
Exactly.
an American soldier is fighting just as much for my freedom as he is anybody else's freedom, and the same as a UK soldier. It's absurd that people don't understand this, what these men and women do for us. So it makes me really angry.
Absolutely, and I just want to reiterate again. I shared the funding link, and if you can help, please do, because this is getting quite serious for this family, and I don't want them to be homeless on top of everything else, because to me, this is a shunder. This should never have happened. But President Trump, Donald, if I know you watch the show, sign the damn pardon, please, sir. Yeah,
and I'll get the links shared out as well. We'll get that donation link shared out over here as well.
Absolutely, and Sadie just said in the chat, I hate talking about her when she's around, but she knows that I love her. We've become very good friends as part of this campaign. She just actually said thank you to everyone who has shared. And we are going to be doing. Michelle just mentioned we're going to be doing a fundraiser in the spring. To raise some more money to help this family for the Freedom Fund, to keep them afloat. So our hearts go out to Chris and to Sadie and to Cassie. And Cassie's not well right now. Cassie has a really bad cold, and so does Sadie. So get well soon, guys. Now I want to change the direction a little bit now with the conversation. I'm really sorry, guys, that you're having this problem with Facebook. Facebook are fascists, and Facebook don't like, any commentary that they don't agree with. So what they're actually doing all the time is they're messing with the show, so that they're kicking people out. But please be aware. Let's actually fight back. Share this video now, so we can saturate the show, so we can get more people watching. So click that share button now. I feel like cast your votes now. I feel like Marty Kane.
Come and see what you could have won.
Yeah. Oh yes. So I want to change the direction now. I want to see some shares. Come on, click that share button. I can't see you sharing out there. So British.
I just want to keep singing. If I could turn back time, stop it.
Yeah, exactly. So British police have arrested a large part of the network behind this week's Manchester suicide bombing, but more arrests are likely. Now, the country's top counterterrorism officer said on Friday, the country's top counterterrorism officer said today. Now, immense progress has been made in the investigation into a coward ass-faced Muslim who killed 22 people, because we won't mention his name on this show. 7 of them children at a pop concert in Manchester on Monday. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn chided Conservative Prime Minister Theresa May for cutting spending on policing. We must be brave enough to admit that the war on terror is not working, he said. May hit back, saying Jeremy Corbyn has said that terror attacks are our own fault. She said, I want to make one thing very clear to Jeremy Corbyn and to you, and it's that there can never ever be an excuse for terrorism. Now, on his first official trip to Britain as U.S. Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, also aka T-Rex, said all across America hearts are broken by the attack. Corbyn, a veteran anti-war campaigner, said foreign policy was not solely to blame for terrorism, but he would deploy troops abroad only when there is a clear need, distancing himself from the interventionist approach that has seen Britain join the United States and other allies in military action in Iraq, Syria, Libya, and Afghanistan in recent years. Now, Ty, I want to get a little controversial, as we're used to doing on this show. Now, it really bothers me that both in America and the UK, they're actually more bothered about being seen as racist than stopping our citizens from being killed. Now, surely, let's face it, this guy was under investigation. The Libyan counterterrorism people had been in touch and said, watch this guy because he's trouble. His brother even thought that he was going to be a terrorist. Ty, you and I are like brothers, some would say sisters. But if I said to you, I'm thinking of bombing a pop concert, wouldn't you be on the phone to the police right away? And quite rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, having tried to stop you myself, yeah.
Yes.
Or if I thought you were that scary, then yeah, of course. And you're absolutely right. And it's not the first time this has happened. In fact, there was another one this year. And there's one happened in the Philippines as well, can we just as well point out as well this week as well, where was it 20 children were killed in a bomb on a bus by terrorists as well. this idea that we don't point at somebody because of fear of being called of being called racist. If somebody's you're not being, if somebody says they're on a watch list, how is that being racist?
Well, should I tell you something, Tyhe? I know for a fact that I have been on several USA watch lists. Do you know why?
Okay.
Because people in the media that spoke out against the Obama administration were all placed on watch lists while he was in office. We've been harassed by the IRS. That's like the tax people. You know, all of this has happened. And you know what? I don't care. If it keeps America safe for liberals to say that I'm a terrorist or I'm anti-government because I disagreed with the Obama administration, then that's cool with me. But what really does bother me is, this has just really upset me this week. A lot of dead kids, a lot of kids with flesh in their hair.
It has to stop. I mean, that has
and
to
nails.
Stop. If somebody's on a watch list, then you cannot possibly look the other way.
No.
For fear of being called a name. No, I don't care.
Right.
I mean, stop me on the street. And I mean, I went to the theatre this evening, and people very politely, they'd obviously upscaled their security, so they were searching people's bags randomly.
Fair enough.
And I just walked in and offered my bag. Because I went straight from work.
Right.
And just said, here you go, and I had a laptop in it and whatever. But they were, oh, thank you very much, and they were so polite about it. And I thought, bless them. I mean, they're polite about this. Don't be polite. I don't want to die in the theatre. Get your hands in there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Really, I'm not offended. Have a look.
Exactly.
It really has to stop. But I want to know that you've had a good rummage, and the guy who sat next to me's got a rucksack. I want to know there's nothing in there ticking.
Right.
So to speak, and I don't mean that trivially. Please don't think I'm being sarcastic. I'm not. I mean, because everybody in that theatre wanted to sit and enjoy a performance, or everybody at that concert wanted to know that their children were safe. I mean, for Christ's sake, when does that stop? No, don't tell me. Call me racist. I don't give a toss. As long as I know that I've done my job.
I mean, I always laugh when people call me racist, because interestingly enough, you've known me for like over 25 years. And how many white people have I had a relationship with in that time?
I don't know. God knows.
Thank you. Thank you for going there. I think this is. I
don't know. What do you mean?
I think
what
this
kind of relationships are we talking about?
One second. 1 second. Hello, Mary's Pizza Parlor. How can I help you?
I would like a pizza with a splash of Pelosi and a double helping of Maxine Waters.
Oh, we were out of Maxine Waters. Would you like some Flip Flopper McCain as a substitute?
Well, since Maxine Waters is Arabic for the Taliban whore, do you have any of the Taliban whore in stock?
All over it.
Would you like fries with that?
Please.
Right. Okay. We will deliver it in about 5 years. So obviously, this is our guest, my Monday night co-host, the one, the only, the fabulous, all the way from Conservatives for Palin, Mr. Thomas S. Schmitz. Welcome to the show, sir. You're live with myself and the fabulous Tyhe Paul Egar.
Hi, Thomas.
Hey, Ty. Hey, Xander. How are you boys tonight?
Good.
I'm doing good. I think I'm absolutely getting there. Now you joined us kind of like mid conversation, and I want to carry on just for a little bit. We were talking about the fact that the unspeakable act that occurred in the UK on Monday. A Islamic fundamental terrorist took a bomb to an Ariana Grande concert, and kids were hurt. People died. And what we're talking about is the level of conversation with regards to the fact that both in America and in the United Kingdom, people are more worried about being called racist than they are saving people's lives.
Yes, and and it's my understanding that the mayor of London had some ridiculous statement following the terrorist attack that Islamophobia will not be tolerated. You know, so we're supposed to reject Islamophobia, but we're supposed to remain calm and carry on as far as jihadi terrorist attacks against the infidels, i.e. us, occur. So we're supposed to accept that, but reject Islamophobia. I don't see the wisdom in that, and perhaps it is because there is none.
I would tend to agree. What say you, Tyhe?
I think, yeah, you're absolutely right, which is what we were just talking about, Thomas. You know, you can't, if somebody's on a watch list, that's not Islamophobia. If somebody's on a watch list and it says, please watch this person, they are potentially a terrorist. How is that possibly racism? That is saying somebody is dangerous, you know. So, I mean, making ridiculous comments like that, you're absolutely right. It is absurd. It doesn't make sense. But also, I mean, at the moment, we really can't trust the press because there's the general election is coming up here. But you're right. Yeah, it's gone beyond belief now. Children are being killed, and people are worried about name calling.
Yes, and I find it outrageous. I don't know what the hell is going on at Scotland Yard, but they're investigating Katie Hopkins, the British journalist and commentator, for her tweets. Shouldn't they be focused on investigating how this terrorist, who was a Libyan refugee, got his bomb into the Ariana Grande concert?
Yes.
Yeah, but to be honest, Thomas, as well, can I just say, that will be the British press blowing that completely out of proportion. Katie Hopkins is despised in this country. She is not a journalist. She is a woman that manages to get herself on television. She's a failed TV celebrity. She is not respected or taken seriously at all in this country. If the police are investigated, then you're right, it's a waste of money. But nobody takes her seriously. She is reviled. She herself is very racist. She's made very racist comments. She's made very homophobic comments in the past. She's made very sexist, fattist comments. She's just a horrible person. So I wouldn't take for granted what the press are reporting right now about her. They just hate her. People hate her. The country hates her.
Yeah, my point is that you know, they're wasting time, energy, and taxpayer dollars, you know, investigating someone's tweets when they should be spending those energies and resources and time, which is our most precious resource, on investigating how that happened at the Ariana Grande concert.
No,
it's
exactly.
Absolutely, Thomas. What I'm saying to you is, I'm not so sure that report is true, that they are wasting any time at all investigating her tweets. I think that might just be the press. It
was clarified, Tyhe, because the police actually they didn't arrest her, but they took her in to talk about it. Really? Regardless of any of the other stuff about her, yes, she is vile about fat people and gay people and all of these things. And I want to take this opportunity to say, you know, this is not an endorsement of her. This was just an agreement of particular.
I realise that. It's
point
just I
that
want
she
people
made.
to be aware that she is. But I mean, if the police are wasting time investigating her, then Thomas, you're absolutely right. That's a disgrace. I just want people to be aware, though. Please don't go out there believing that Katie Hopkins is in any way a credible journalist of any kind. She's just a vile human being.
So I want to kind of. Here's the thing for me. You know, we said all of this after the San Bernardino shooting. We said all of this after the Pulse nightclub stuff that went on, and nothing changes. What does it actually take for the government and even the people of America? I mean, I'm astounded that even after this, that they will still be dissing the travel ban that President Trump is trying to push through. You know, this is not about being anti-Muslim. This is about being pro-American and keeping Americans safe, and British people too. Because if we're more careful about who we let in, there will be less things of this ilk happening.
Yeah, and I think it needs to go on the record that Libya was part of the travel ban where this guy was from.
Yes.
You know, so I mean, people need to think about that.
I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
Well, he went back there, didn't he? I think he was from Manchester. He was living in Manchester. He'd been around a bit. He did go back to Libya. He'd been to several places. But you're absolutely right. I mean, you can't start saying, you know, it's wrong to stop this kind of travel, and then complain when when this kind of tragedy happens, and it's obvious where these people are being recruited to and from.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense. You can't have gold and not dig for it, can you? Really?
Exactly, and you know, this is not about being anti-Muslim. It's about being anti-terrorist. And you would have to be pretty stupid to think that all Muslims are terrorists. You know, none of the Muslims I know want to blow people up. They want to go to work. They want to feed their kids. They want to pay their taxes. Well, maybe not pay their taxes, because who does? Of course I do, Mr. IRS, if you're watching. But you know. The average Muslim does not want this. But, you know, I have to steal a phrase from Bridget Gabriel. You know, we said this on the show yesterday. It's not the peaceful majority you need to be concerned about. It's not the peaceful majority that behead people and drive trucks into crowds of people at markets at Christmas and blow up buildings. It's the radicals. But, you know, the last administration couldn't even use the term radical Islamic terrorism.
But it's not, if you always notice as well, it's not the people in church that you need to worry about. It's the people stood outside shouting that you need to worry about.
Absolutely. So I want to change the direction a little bit because, you know, I get very het up and I've got to watch my blood pressure. But I want to talk about the very concerning fact that, you know, over the past couple of weeks, Sean Hannity, who is a TV presenter here, Tyhe, he has a political show on Fox. Basically, he started to talk about Seth Rich. And since he started talking about Seth Rich, the Democrats are encouraging his sponsors to pull out. Now, that is a total concern for me. Because it's one thing to disagree, but to actually want to take away someone's livelihood because you disagree is another matter.
That's scary.
So they did it to Bill O'Reilly. I wasn't really a fan of Bill O'Reilly. And whether he'd done the things he said or not, for me, in America, in 2017, if they can fire you for the things that you've been accused of, then that's a concern. And if that is the case, I would like to publicly say now that Maxine Waters touched my wee-wee, so she must be fired. Isn't that fair enough?
I'll never sleep again.
You know, I never did either. You should have seen when she took her wig off. I mean, that was even more scary than her touching my wee-wee.
I've seen you backstage.
Yes, but we'll save that for another show where we're talking about other subjects. See, this is the thing, when people have known you for so long and they know all your secrets, you really have to be careful. Hillary, you should take some advice on that, actually. You know, we know all your secrets. Be careful what you say about our president. So what do you make of this, Thomas? Is it time to actually, you say I'm not really one for boycotting, but shouldn't we be boycotting these companies that pull out on Hannity?
Well, you know, if you go a little further into the story, what's really going on is, God, Margaret Thatcher used to talk about this. You have a small, tiny group of the minority who are very, very well organized, and they present themselves as the majority. And in this day and age, in the digital day and age, what they do is they make all these Twitter accounts, ghost accounts, and then they harass the advertisers for whatever person's show they disagree with, and they make it seem like to the advertiser, the optics are that, oh, there's thousands and thousands of people upset with us, and scare them into pulling their ads from these people's show, when it's really a small group of tiny, well-organized radicals who are pulling this off. And they've been doing this for quite a while. The entire world has been community organized, and we all know who to thank for that.
Yeah.
And again, it's just a tiny, tiny group of people who are very extremely talented in a bad way and well organized, and they're able to pull off these optical illusions where it looks like, you know, thousands and thousands of people are going to stop buying this product, when it's really only, you know, a handful of people in their mom's basement or in a boiler room or whatever, you know, pulling off this optic illusion, and people are, like you said, Xander, their livelihoods are being destroyed. And it's not okay. I don't know what the solution is. Perhaps what the solution is for someone with means, like Mr. Hannity has, is to go ahead and sue these people. people, and I know that's on the table because I read an article about that today. I can't remember where. I read so many things each day. Perhaps it was on Breitbart, or perhaps it was the Associated Press. I don't remember. But it is on the table for him, is a lawsuit against these people, and I think that needs to happen. They'll scream for speech. But, we've got to figure this out because this keeps happening over and over again. Tiny groups of well-organized radicals get together and pull off this optical illusion and present themselves as the majority, and they use it for mischief. And I know mischief isn't illegal, but there's got to be some kind of law that they've broken.
Right.
And I think that we need to be gone after. And perhaps
there is Thomas,
who is a man of means, can finally do something about it. We'll get a test case and take it all the way to the Supreme Court and see what they say.
Well, there is an article of law with regards to restriction of trade, and I would just go at it from that perspective, because ultimately, you see, this is the thing, they're not pulling the ads from I can't remember what's the network that that lesbian woman is on.
MSLSD.
MSLSD. That's the one. They're not pulling their ads from there, so how come they can be so outspoken about these things? What is the difference? One wants to ask.
They toe the party line, and you can flip through any channel except for Fox, and you're going to hear the exact same talking points. And I don't really like to watch news. I like to get my news on my own and make my own opinions. And I have my own beefs with some of the contributors and show hosts of Fox News.
Right.
But, if we didn't have Fox News, we would be like North Korea with state-run media.
Yes.
ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSLSD, every single one of them, you turn on those channels and they're all saying the exact same thing.
Yes.
To the T. I mean, it's almost as if someone, maybe the DNC, gives them these approved talking points and they read from them, because you can flip through any, if you don't believe me, flip through the channels and they're all saying the exact same thing.
Right.
So again, if we didn't have Fox News, we'd be like North Korea with state-run media, by default. It's a quasi.
Right.
Of course, I don't mean literally, but, if it's by default and de facto, there's not that much of a difference.
Exactly. And it's kind of very similar in the UK too, isn't it, Tyhe?
Absolutely. If you listen to the BBC, well, the BBC is a perfect example.
Yeah.
BBC, I suppose, is our version of CNN. They lie as soon as their lips move. They are completely conservative-led as well. But you have no idea what you're watching. It's like a soap opera unfolding.
1 second, guys, because you can't both speak at once because the viewers get confused.
I can't hear Thomas. Sorry, I didn't realise he was.
No problem. It's probably because of the setup. Just you finish your point, Tyhe, and then we'll can then Thomas.
Okay. So I was saying, most of us here who pay any attention realised. I think last year more than ever, it was really became aware that the BBC are government-led, I'm saying government-led, or their own autonomous industry, and they just lie constantly.
Right.
I mean, the BBC have gone from one of the most respected world organisations to a travesty. And if you want to know anything about what's happening in the world, do not watch the BBC. It's appalling, and a lot of other news companies really sadly have fallen that way as well. But they are now a travesty.
It's very sad that it's kind of like he who stays pays, and that's what news media, mainstream news media has become nowadays. It's a few opinions that are thrown together rather than facts. Go ahead, Thomas. You were going to make a point.
Oh, I did. I'm so sorry, Tyhe. I didn't know that I didn't hear you speaking. I didn't know that I was interrupting you. No, my point is made about the BBC, and Tyhe perfectly summed it all up for me. So thank you.
Absolutely. I want to just, we got a couple of minutes left. I want to just touch on a point that I thought was really interesting, that is kind of part of this. Now, yesterday, let me get this guy's name because it kind of eluded me. Now the media are always trying to kind of interfere in stuff. And yesterday, Republican Greg Gianforte actually won his state's only seat in the House of Representatives, despite what had gone on during the day. Because yesterday a reporter had gotten in his face and he body slammed him, but the guy won. Still won, even though they used this situation in order to try and turn the election. Wouldn't you agree, Thomas?
Yes, and I think what people need to understand about Ben Jacobs, he's not a reporter. He has a history of harassment and dishonesty. In 2013, he did something very, very dishonest, and what he did was he went through Governor Palin's FEC filings for her Political Action Committee,
right,
and he would call the donors and read them things on the itemized list from the FEC and say things like, did you know that the money you donated, part of it went to de-ice Governor Palin's airplane? Do you know how much it costs to de-ice her airplane before she flies to the lower 48 to give a rally for a candidate? Did you know how much her hotel room costs? I mean, that's not journalism.
No.
That's activism.
It is.
And he distorted the 2013 CPAC speech that she gave. Remember the famous one with the big gulp after Mayor Bloomberg had banned large-size sodas?
Yeah.
He really distorted the facts on her speech and made it sound like, the audience was uninterested, when in fact what really happened is thousands of people, it trended immediately, it was called #PalinLibertyPose, and thousands of people took pictures of themselves holding a big gulp up in the air,
yeah,
in support not of her, but against Mayor Bloomberg and social engineering,
yeah,
and banning soda pop in New York City. And so Ben Jacobs, that coupled with calling up people, a donor list from the FEC, and harassing donors from Governor Palin's Political Action Committee, this man has a history of dishonesty and harassment. And because we haven't seen a tape, we've only heard audio of it, we don't know what happened. And so I don't even refer to him as a journalist. He is a political hack,
right,
with a history of dishonesty and harassment. It is not okay to call up donors from a political action committee and harass them, and that's exactly what he did in 2013.
We played.
If you don't believe me, go to his Twitter timeline from 2013, unless he's deleted all those tweets. He's a very dishonest and man full of harassment, known for harassment.
We played the tape. We played the audio on the show last night, and obviously something occurred, but it was clear that he had goaded Greg. But I'm glad it didn't make a difference to the result of the election, which I really think was the whole point of doing it. We have to stop there, I'm afraid. We could talk all night. Thank you to our guest, Thomas S. Schmitz. You can find all his information on today's, on the X-RAD Facebook page for today, and you can find out more about him at conservativesforpalin.com, where he is a writer and contributor. Thomas will be back with us on Monday as co-host, but for now, thanks so much, Thomas. Have a great weekend and give our best to Jim.
Bye, Thomas.
Give your best to Jim. Both of you have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, and enjoy your night.
Absolutely. Take care. Thanks a lot.
Take care, Thomas. Bye.
Bye-bye. That was Thomas S. Schmitz. All of his information is on, as I said, the X-RAD Facebook page for today. Thank you to my wonderful co-host over there in London. I'm sure he's ready to go to bed because it's like 2 a.m. there now, and he's probably been up since 6. The wonderful Tyhe Egar. Tell people where they can find you very quickly, Ty.
Oh, you can just, at the moment, you can just find me on Twitter, which is @TyheEgar, which is TYHEPAULEGAR, capital T, capital P, capital E, and love to Sadie. Take well, be well, honey.
Absolutely.
As well, too.
Absolutely. Thank you so much to Ty. You have a great weekend. Ty will be back with us next Friday. So thank you very much, Ty, and I will speak to you very soon. Lots of love. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That was the fabulous Tyhe Egar. Make sure you check him out and follow him on social media. Yes, there will be an X-RAD show on Monday, because every time we don't do one on a holiday, people complain. So we will be live here on Friday. Let me just remind you very quickly that if you want to support the show, you can do so by buying the book, which is called The Boy from Beyond the Ice House. You can buy the CD, which is called The Platinum Prequel. I just shared the links now. Please, if you can, donate to Chris Saucier's Fighting Fund. We shared the link in the timeline, but we'll share it afterwards in the main feed. Thanks to everybody in the live feed. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. Stop messing with my feed because it's not working. Please share the show before you go. Let's just show Facebook that they are not the boss in all of this. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a happy Memorial Day weekend. I'll be back with you on Memorial Day. I love you all. Bye-bye.
Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were, they were bound to change when it was